Nick Robertson has more on Israel's perspective. He joins us now from Jerusalem. And Nick, this was the deadliest day in Gaza since 2014. Just give us a sense of the reaction in the region there and also from Jerusalem.
Well, I think there was real concern here going into this that Hamas would use this situation of so many people near the border to approach the fence and that there could be thousands of people approaching the fence. This was a concern of Israeli officials going into this. I'm joined right now by David Keyes, his Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's spokesman. David, one of the things that we heard late last night at the UN, the Palestinian representative there called this a massacre by Israeli troops against protesters who couldn't defend themselves. What happened yesterday?
Well, nothing could be further from the truth. What happened yesterday was an organized effort by Hamas, an internationally recognized terrorist organization, to storm into Israel, to overrun Israel, thousands of people to have them stream in. Bombs were placed, rockets were shot, guns were shot at Israelis, and Israel did what any country around the world would have done. It responded by defending its citizens. And what hasn't gone mentioned in much of the coverage about this is what are Hamas's aims. Hamas has called repeatedly for genocide of Jews. The Deputy Speaker of the Parliament, Ahmed Bahar, said that every Jew, count them around the world, kill them all, don't leave a single one standing. He said the same thing about every American, murder them all. This is an organization which calls for Israel's total and utter annihilation. And so talking about this as a protest is highly disingenuous. It behooves everyone to understand what it actually is, which was a case of severe aggression against the state of Israel.
So when you see so many people approaching this fence, you seriously believe that thousands of people could try to approach it and come over in a mass movement?
Well, that's exactly what they wanted to do, and that's why they were trying to blow holes in the fence, and that's why they were shooting at Israeli soldiers and civilians. And what's really remarkable is that Hamas was actually using, as it has done on so many occasions, civilian shields. They took a 7-year-old girl. This innocent, impressionable girl was wearing a Minnie Mouse sweatsuit, okay? And they sent her right to confront the soldiers, hoping she would be shot, in the perverse thinking that that would be some kind of victory. Of course, Israel didn't shoot any little girl. It brought her back to her parents. But what does this say about the morals and the values of an organization that so cynically uses children in an area of war? It's disgusting, it's outrageous, it's abominable.
So when the UN Secretary General calls for an independent inquiry, does Israel support that?
Well, Israel would support an inquiry into Hamas's actions, using civilian shields, calling for genocide, digging terror tunnels under the ground of Israeli homes. Hamas is the clear aggressor in this case. The UN isn't exactly the best forum to work out things related to Israel, given its many decades of history of anti-Israel obsession, letting mass murdering tyrants off the hook because they're too busy looking at the one free and liberal democracy in the Middle East.
We've seen pictures overnight that the IDF released of gunmen approaching the fence, of people attaching explosives, of people setting fire to it during the daytime. But Palestinian authorities say more than 700 live rounds were used. How can that be a plausible, if you will, way to deal with a situation where you're facing unarmed individuals?
Well, Israel took extreme measures not to hurt anybody who wasn't directly involved in violence against Israel. And already Hamas has claimed responsibility for several of the people who were killed in the fighting, active Hamas members who were shooting at Israeli soldiers. Here's the amazing part. All of this could cease right now. All Hamas has to say is don't approach the fence, don't try to infiltrate Israel, and no one would be killed, no one would be injured, there would be absolutely no violence. That's all they have to say, but they don't say it because war is their reason for existence.
There's many more weeks of this. It's going to culminate right around the time that the United States is going to transfer its consulate into Jerusalem to its embassy here. It's an emotive issue for Palestinians. It's one that's widely praised by Israelis. This protest runs all the way up to that time. What are your concerns about what's going to happen going forward with this protest?
Well, obviously, we hope that the situation calms down. We don't seek any escalation, and we hope that Hamas takes the right decision and encourages its people not to fight and die against Israel in a futile war, not to send children into active war zones to be killed. That's the worst of all options.
Isn't there any other way that your forces can deal with them? They are children, as you say, some of them.
Well, the only people that Israel took active measures against, of course, were people actively engaged in acts of terror, people who were shooting at Israel. But unbelievably, Hamas takes pride. You know, Fatih Hamid, the interior minister of Hamas, he said, we're so proud that women and children and the elderly excel at being human shields. That's what he said. He's actually prideful of that. It's unbelievable, and it seems that there is no bottom, there is no limit to the cynicism and cruelty of Hamas.
What does this protest now tell you about the reality of the situation with Palestinians being dismayed that the United States has recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel? Where does this leave the situation right now, 3 months on from that moment when President Trump announced it, for a possibility of peace?
Well, that recognition really advanced peace, because what it said is it's time that we recognize basic facts, because peace is not built on a foundation of lies. And for too long, the Palestinian leadership has said that the Jews have no connection to Israel. They've said that we won't exist side by side with Israel in peace as a Jewish state. I mean, that is the core of this conflict. Hamas is saying, from the river to the sea, we will destroy Israel. It's what Ismail Haniyeh says. It's what Mahmoud al-Zahar says. It's what Yahya Sinwar says. The entire leadership of Hamas says one thing: we will destroy Israel. So the Palestinian leadership needs to come to grips with the fact that Israel is not going anywhere. And as soon as the Palestinians accept Israel's outstretched hand for peace, there can be peace.
But what they've rejected now is the United States as a mediator in this. They don't see United States as an independent mediator in this situation. Has that not therefore set back this possibility? Because that was the United States' role for many years.
Well, it's a real travesty that they've said that they won't have any part in these peace talks, because even when there were disagreements in the past between Israel and America, it never said we're not going to agree to sit down with you, because it genuinely is desirous of peace. And unfortunately, the Palestinians have proven yet again that they're missing an opportunity. And this is a real opportunity for peace. They're saying no. Israel is saying yes. It's a tragedy that this cycle of Palestinian rejection keeps coming back and back.
David Keyes, thank you very much indeed. Where this protest goes, today a calmer day, tomorrow isn't clear, but what is clear, that potential for conflict, the potential for escalation, the potential for more deaths, Linda, that exists, because nothing has changed today from yesterday, other than that there was a lower turnout.
All right, Nick Robinson for us in Jerusalem, along with Prime Minister Netanyahu's spokesman. Thank you very much.